And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that duct tape from times gone by, as we do have our next series. Vetoes are done, and we are in game number 1 of our next quarterfinals match. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Equilibrium, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. Here we go. So again, for some context, Bjorn is still waiting for the upper semifinals for his next opponent, for the winner of Gumiho and Nightmare. Meanwhile, we are here in the lower quarterfinals match. The winner of this series advances on to the semifinals, waiting for the winner of, I believe, Kior, Bunny, and Hero, as the three of them are still duking it out just underneath us. But for now, standard openers. We do have a hatch gas pool opener here. Dark is the last remaining Zerg player in the tournament. He is the last one, as he usually is. Again, he's the best Zerg player in South Korea, and that is reflected in a lot of these online events, where he is typically the representative lone wolf, trying to make his way through. And we'll see how far he can go. We'll see how far he can end up going here. Again, there are a lot of big names looking to stand in his way. Players like Hero, like Kior, like Bunny, looking to make their own way into the finals. All I hope for, oh my god, are some good games, as Dark going for a very fast start here on Equilibrium. And this is something that we have seen attempted in the past, but I have not seen it being successful. So on this map, of course, we do have a very exposed gold base with rich Bessie gas geyser as well, so a lot of value in this base to be had. We have seen players take this as a 4th or even 5th base, and without too much issue. You know, you can expand here naturally over time. But when it comes to rushing this base as a fast 3rd, we haven't seen it successful yet. We've seen players attempt, we've seen players try, and usually fail. So I'm curious to see if Dark keeps his hidden. So far, Classic is scouting. He checks the linear 3rd, and he will check the gold. He will get eyes on the hatchery. Classic knows. And now it's going to be on Dark to somehow defend this base. It's going to be a difficult thing, because obviously once the gold gets up and running, Dark, he wants to saturate it as quickly as possible. He wants to take advantage of this gold as quickly as possible. But we're going to have oracles on the way. Not just oracles, but adepts on the ground as well. This early on, Protoss do have quite a lot of tools to harass, and quite a lot of tools to keep the economy in check of the Zerg player. So I'm curious how Dark approaches this. I'm curious if he doesn't saturate this immediately, which I think would be a wise choice. I think it would be too risky, and I think he would lose everything if he tried to just Maynard over. So he's keeping his drones in his natural, keeping his drones in his main. Even though he expanded here, he is not rushing to take advantage of this base yet. Because if he did, to be honest, I feel like he'd be punished quite hard for it. So he's gonna be waiting a little bit longer. Queen comes out, Spore is on the way, Lings are coming in to reinforce, and the Adepts are being fended back. At the same time, the Oracle was making its way into the natural, but we do have 2 Queens. We do have the 2 Queens in position. Oracle going to be rotating over towards the gold instead. Again, we can see Dark only saturating this gold base with the lava from the base itself. Adepts are being confirmed. And Dark is successfully holding on to this for the time being. Behind this, we actually do have a second Oracle. Does meet up with the first. We can one-shot workers. And Classic is making his way towards that natural. Now we are Maynarding workers over. And it looks like Classic does catch a Queen. He gets 1, and he may even get a second Queen as well. Ooh, not enough engine for transfuse. Big pickups here for Classic, but Dark completely saturates his 3rd and also takes the gold. The Adepts are being surrounded, And even though Classic killed 2 queens, still not worth it because this gold base is fully operational. Lair is on the way as well. I love that we're getting the lair here as the gold. I mean, I'm of 2 minds. It's a very it's a very exposed base, but at the same time, it does increase its overall HP. Does make it a little bit more defendable as 2 drones go down here at the natural base, and we go for a big lane counterattack. No shield battery! No shield battery. The oracles are out of energy. They just spent all their energy back at home. The adepts are going to be going down, and Dark, it looks like he should take control of this third. He just dives on it. The oracle doing what it can, but you can see here just not enough energy. There we go. Does activate its pulsar beam. Dark is going to back off, but he has more lings on the way, as he's going to be droning behind this Evo chamber for +1. Dark going to catch or try to catch some of these probes. Gets 1. Ooh, but Classic holds. And looking at the units lost type here, Classic, he lost units and he lost control of the third, but Classic saved the workers. He saved his probes. They're going back to work, and Classic's economy is still looking quite good. Not amazing, but good nonetheless. Now, what's scary for Classic is that Dark does have greater than 3 base saturation at the moment. He's working on a 4th. The gold really coming into play behind this Roach Warren. Hydroden +1 range, not melee for Dark. Interesting. As he's going for a Roach Hydra composition. He's got Lings at the moment for map control, and he does come across a probe. He does delay the 4th base of his opponents. The High Templar! No! High Templar goes down. Another gets surrounded as well. Forces an Archon. We'll only get 1 High Templar though. Regardless. Good pick off. Once again, another probe goes down. Ah! Another probe falls. The gas is not within range with the shield battery. Gas geyser falls as well. These aren't big pickoffs, but Dark, he's getting quite a lot of value here. These small little wins do add up over time, and as he's distracting Classic, as he's delaying the 4th, we are getting into Hydras. Behind this though, I appreciate this from Classic as well, as he's struggling to hold on to a 4th base. Fleet Beacon, 2nd Stargate, Skytoss. Skytoss and Disruptors. So Classic is going to be taking a more defensive role. He has recognized he cannot punish this gold. He's not going to try to. He's basically leaving Dark to his own devices, and he is turtling up back at him instead, building up a very intense army. Very high quality. Disruptors, Archons, Colossus, would-be carriers as well. Carriers or even Tempest. But before Classic can tech up into this, he's being quite greedy, by the way, taking up in every single direction, or into Skytoss. The Hydras have arrived, and Classic does not have an army. Classic has a handful of units. You can barely call this an army. He's got 1 Disruptor, 1 Archon, and some Zealots. He is looking very vulnerable, and here we go. Dark is pushing in. There is no Storm. If there was Storm, then maybe we could talk about, you know, potential defense. Never goes up. Takes down 1 Hydra. We get a full surround. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 1. Ooh, GG. Very well done. And you could see how very quickly that gold kicks in, right? As soon as the gold base got fully saturated, as soon as Classic had to back off and take a more defensive position, Dark, he shot up to 180 supply with Roach Hydra of all things. A pretty gas-intensive style, a very expensive composition to rush into like that, but Dark, he pulled it off. GG. The power of the gold. Power of the gold base, and with that he takes game 1. Now we're looking to get into game number 2. Again, I also appreciate how patient Dark was when it came to saturating the 3rd base. He was fully aware of how much danger the 3rd was in, so he took his time. You know, he got his Spore, he got his Queen, he made sure he made Lings first, and then once he dealt with the first 2 Adepts and once he fended off the first Oracle, then he main outed over. Then he took advantage of that gold base, and he wasn't really punished for it. He couldn't be punished for it. The Oracles tried, and they killed a couple of workers at the natural, but they couldn't quite touch the 3rd. They got some queens, but again, very little drones. Oh, GG. And with that, we're getting into our next game. Game number 2. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkione, we have the South Korean Zerg player leading the series 1-0, one game away from advancing onto the semifinals. Representing Dragon Kaizi Gaming, it is Dark. And spawning in the top right, we have his opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss representing Twisted Minds. Down in the series, looking to fight back, looking to force the ace match. It is Classic. Hello people, I woke up late, I missed the start. Hello complete, hello. The start was good. Honestly, I feel like, especially for a Terran fan, I think you can get a lot out of Beyond versus Solar. Beyond versus Solar was a pretty intense matchup, is what I will say. And definitely worth looking at there. Before that, we had some solid ZVZs as well, if you're interested in that matchup. But now we have found ourselves in a ZvP. Again, this is a quarterfinals match. Winner moves on to the semifinals. And for now, it's going to be a hatch into gas into spawning pool for Dark. Meanwhile, Classic likewise also going for a standard opener, nothing too out of the norm, is going for a gate expand into his Cybercore. And now we get to talk about the map a little bit as we settle into the early game. Of course, I wonder if Dark is ballsy enough to try to take this gold base as well. Now, the difference is that this gold is a little bit further out, and you do have a little like building up to do here to get here. You've got to work through these mineral patches before actually getting to the gold base itself. We have seen this base taken in the past. We have seen players take advantage of this gold very early on, but yeah, we'll see if we're that adventurous this time. Again, it is harder to gain access to, so it takes a little bit longer to actually throw down. And you can see Classic just keeping eyes on things. Making sure he keeps tabs on Dark. Third base is being taken. The probe a little bit out of position. And the third is not going to be delayed. Behind this, Stargate opener. So tech of choice is a Stargate's standard, as it should be. Should be seeing some oracles coming out, a third base being taken. Again, everything is looking pretty normal here. And at least this time, Classic confirms that it's a normal third base from Dark. He's not going out of his way to go for any kind of quirky base or anything hidden. Bearing in mind as well that here in the top left, we have another base that's standard outside of the fact that there is a rich vesting gas geyser. That is something that can maybe come into play in the coming weeks and months. We'll see if someone comes up with any kind of weird build that can maybe take advantage of this early on. Doubtful, but possible. I could potentially see this space being taken in PvT. If you remember on, I almost said Hardwire, Royal Blood in the previous map season, you could see a lot of Protoss players take gold bases and take rich vesting gas bases against Terran players without too much issue. Did become very meta. That could be the case on some of these maps as well. But now though, the Oracle does arrive. Moves in towards the third. At the same time, Dark also checks the third base of a Classic, and oh, we do not really have much here in position, but okay, we do have one Adept. Another Oracle comes out, so we're okay. Darky just confirms the timing of the third. Ooh, as Classic is shifting gears, and he's going straight for a Fleet Beacon. Let's go. We've been talking about this, I don't want to be a broken record, but a lot of the Korean Protosses have been doing this. Not just Korean Protosses, but Protosses in general. So I'm talking about Hero, I'm talking about Nightmare, Classic, and Estrella. They've all been incorporating these Fleet Beacon rushes in their play. First Oracle does go down, big pick off here for Dark. And it's going to be on Dark to scout and recognize what exactly is going on. For now, he's in the dark. For now, he doesn't know. But yes, we have the Fleet Beacon, second Stargate, and Carriers, or even Tempest. Oh my, okay. Boppy, you have my attention. I said Tempest at the end there just to cover my bases, but I didn't really think it would happen. But okay, we are indeed rushing into Tempest. 2 Tempest on the way alongside, this is like tectonic destabilizers or something tectonic. The Tempest upgrade, of course, on the way. This does bonus damage to structures, for those wondering. And Dark is just happily droning, taking his gases, getting to 4 gas saturation. There he is mining through these mineral patches. We mentioned this in the previous series, but something that's interesting about Alkione is that we have seen a lot of players favor expanding here on the right-hand side instead of the left. This does seem more defensible early on and a very safe 4th base to take. Very, very difficult for the opposing player to really punish it. As Overseer dives in, confirms the Tempest and the additional Tempest on the way. Dark sees everything and Dark reacts with a Dropper-Lord. Does he have Overlord speed? No, he doesn't have Overlord speed. So I think this may have been a mistake. Spire is on the way. And yeah, Dark is just getting ready back at home. Get that Spire, working on his queens. Roach move out does get spotted and will distract these Tempests for a moment. It's an expensive distraction, but a distraction nonetheless. And the Tempests are moving out across the map. We need a good crease shred. We need some good control as well. This Overlord can actually come into play. We can actually like help micro and juggle these queens and keep them alive. I love the addition of this Overlord if that's what it's for. Oh, yeah, let's go. I love it, Bobby. I love it. Basically like a war prism. We're able to try to preserve and keep these queens alive. Dark being fancy, but there are still so many Tempests. Ooh, as we try to dodge one of those shots, unable to. That's the goal here, of course, is to dodge those Tempest shots once again. Oh my god, Bobby. But it looks like the Overlord is taking a lot of hits. Transfuse will barely keep it alive, as the Overlord will go down. But that bought enough time for more queens to show up for the Spire to finish. As we focus down one of the Tempests, very nicely done here by Dark. Really crisp control. How much did he lose? He lost 2 queens. And against any other Zerg player, that could have been game. That could have been 5 queens instead. Again, really good control, not just with juggling, but also with transfusing. And again, Dark, he survived long enough to get out these Corruptors. Let's go. That was so good. Behind this, Dark, he's taking the gold, so is Classic, but the Corruptors have hit the field, and we can actually Caustic Spray down this base. Yeah, we can deny this Nexus. We can try to at least. But there are Tempests in range. Void Rays as well. The Corruptors are going to have to back off. +1 air attack is on the way. We're making 3 Void Rays at a time. And we're throwing down Gateways and a Twilight Council. So it looks like Classic wants to switch into Ground Toss. Hydrogen is on the way. Roaches as well. So Dark, he is not neglecting his ground army. He's aware of what his opponent is up to. As Classic is double expanding, he's getting this goal base up and running. It's going to be on Dark to try to punish that. More Void Rays are coming out there. That's becoming a scary amount. 10 Void Rays. Do we get one of the Corruptors in the end? Get a second Corruptor. Oh, and even a third. But the Void Rays are being distracted, and here we go, the main army. The ground army comes in, and we're shutting down the gold. Dark is bleeding a lot of these Corruptors, though, and he's reinforcing with Hydras instead. As the Corruptors get caught out, and again, really good positioning at a Classic, but he is still losing a Nexus. Not just one. From here, Dark, he can keep on pushing. He can head towards the other 4th base of Classic as well, as he recalls back home. Dark just trading as best he can, and gets another couple of workers before pulling back. And again, as he pulls back, Hydras are coming out, and I love this. For those wondering, these Void Rays, especially when they activate their Prismatic Alignment, they do bonus damage to Corruptors. They melt Corruptors. So upon recognizing that we're still making nothing but Void Rays, we're going for Hydras instead alongside Infestors. The other answer to this would have been Vipers, but we don't have a Hive. Because we don't have a Hive set up, Dark, he makes the best out of a bad situation. going Hydra Queen Infestor. There it is. A Void Ray goes down. Infestors, they can Fungal, they can Blinding Cloud. Oh no, sorry. What's the other one? Microbial Shroud. That's it. Oh, as the Corruptors are being focused down by those Void Rays. Hydras are doing what they can, but that's a lot of Void Rays. We need a Microbial Shroud. Ah! Oof. We go for the Fungal instead. We did not have enough energy. The Hydras fall. An expensive loss here for Dark. There's the Shroud. As Dark takes down 14 probes and denies the gold. But he has to back off, rebuild. Does he have many Infestors remaining? He's got one. He lost one Infestor in that fight. He's gonna need more. I mean, to be fair, now that he has a Hive, he can go straight for Vipers. Vipers will fare better against these Void Rays. Parabombs are king. Now the Classic force back, saturating this fourth. Rocks are being knocked down. There's the first Viper in production. So we almost do catch a Void Ray. You see Classic trying to zone these Void Rays away from the base. We're pushing on forward. Storm isn't done! Ah, the High Templar! One High Templar does go down. But the ground army collapse on these Hydras and an Infestor falls. Oh, expensive losses here for Dark. He's losing a bit too much. He's bleeding out too much. He does fall back to these Queens, but we can Storm. And it looks like Classic may just snowball out of control. And Dark, being a bit too cavalier, takes down one of the Void Rays. Pulls back to the gold. Vipers are still gathering energy. Dark needs time. And I worry that by the time Dark moves out, look at how many High Templar we have. That's 8 High Templar. Each not just with a Storm by the time the attack happens, but also with the ability to feedback. They are going to be there to counteract the Vipers and to feedback to make sure that parasitic bombs don't go off. As Classic is attempting to take another expansion. Is spotted by Dark. Dark is max, but again, he doesn't have his Vipers. He's got to be careful. Oh, that is a cancel on the 5th. Queens are pushing forward. The Hydras are arriving as well. Again, that is still a lot of High Templar. Shows the power bombs. Oh! Do land 1. We land 2 power bombs, but the feedbacks do connect. Storms as well. The spread, the concave is looking good, and we do not have enough energy for another storm. We have so many High Templar, so many, but no more storms. We break on through, get on top of the High Templar, and Classic loses everything. All of his spellcasters go down. He's got 2 Void Rays, 1 Tempest, and 1 Archon. It looks like Dark has done it. It looks like Classic pushed out a little bit prematurely. He actually didn't have enough energy for a storm on each High Templar. Some of those High Templar were still just barely seconds away from having enough to actually add to the fight. And with that, Dark is maxed. He's out positioning the army, pushing into the natural. Cybercore goes down. Is going to be denying +2. From here, Dark, he can rotate back around. Do we have any Vipers? We do. We have 2. We have 2 Vipers available. Oh my god. Big storm. Dark trying to make a mass Hydra army work. Oof. Another big storm as well. And we're looking to abduct those carriers if possible, but 1 Viper gets focused down. We're down to 1. At the same time, Dark going for a big counterattack. Crashing into that 4th base. Again, good target firing, takes down one of the High Templar, takes another storm to the face at the same time. Oh, and Dark is losing quite a bit. He does get the base though. He takes another big storm to the face. But again, he's just pulling Classic apart. Takes down the 4th, gets a Cyber Core, a couple of High Templar here and there. And the Classic is being forced all in a way. He's pulling the boys? I just realized the boys have been pulled. A couple of them go down. Classic in a bit of desperation. You can see that he is running out of money, running out of resources. Not a lot of patches are left. Ah, no. As he tries to sneak out of base here, out towards the right-hand side, a recall is going to kick in. The power bomb. Ah. We powerbomb the carrier. We fungal as well. We're storming whatever we can, but Classic is running out of units. He's running out of army. GG gets called, and Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark, as he does end up taking the series 2-0. Very back and forth. There was definitely a moments there, or there were definitely moments for Classic where he was taking some better fights and had certain, or he had the momentum. But we saw Dark juggle so well initially against the first Tempest push, and I love the transition from Corruptor into Hydra once he realized that a lot of Void Rays, or that we were amassing Void Rays from the side of the Protoss. Do you think that was a nice way to counteract that? And it was a good way to make use of the lair tech that we had. If you remember, at the time, we didn't actually have a hive, so we couldn't get into Vipers, we couldn't rely on parasitic bombs, so Corruptors just weren't really viable at that stage. Instead relied on Infestors, on Hydras, on Queens. GG, well played. Ooh, Dark does advance on, and as Dark advances on, I want to give a special shout out to someone in the chat. A very, very old school supporter of the channel and a fellow CranKy Duckling as well. A massive shout out to Dallycat. Ah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Dallycat in the chat. Thank you. 65 months. That's a lot of months. Since almost the beginning, or maybe even like some of the first couple of months that we got affiliate. Thank you. Thank you, Dally. Thank you. Always appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you. Much love. Much love. A good friend. GG. I'm just catching up. Catching up. Someone call time quickly. Someone call Oliveira. As from here, Dark does take the series. And I believe he is waiting for his next opponent. Let me just quickly figure that out.